Welcome back to Sister Scoop, our weekly news segment for Marvel. And let's get into the first topic because there was a lot of cool news, a lot of trailer drops this week, lots of things going on. And our first topic is dealing with the 90s Spider-Man show, which, to be fair, I'm pretty sure this has been a rumor for months, pretty much since X-Men 97 came out, but it could be getting rebooted.
Yeah, it sounds like there are some conversations happening at the studio, which is super exciting. If you've been listening to our show for any length of time, you know this show was our childhood, though I didn't actually know that it stopped airing before I was even born. So that's pretty cool. Literally like 2 months before I was born was its final episode. So just to put some things into perspective. But the reruns were on when we were growing up. And so this was our true introduction to Marvel as children. If they bring this back, I'm pretty sure I will cry. This show, just for a piece of context, was the first thing that I ever watched when Disney Plus launched. Got Disney Plus day one. This was the first thing that I put on. So, yeah, the levels of excitement, while they seem muted now, that's because I'm trying really, really hard. There will be screams if this show is greenlit because I'm ready for all the nostalgia.
It's funny because I know we had the conversation where we both realized it was the first show we watched when Disney Plus came out.
Unintentional, not coordinated.
Didn't talk at all about it. Actually, we only just found out. I think it was on a podcast episode. We were talking about it. And I was like, that's so funny. I also watched that for the first time when Disney Plus was out. I am also very excited. I still have very, very core memories. Taylor, you know exactly the one I'm thinking of. Very core memories of this show and watching it before school every day. I would be ecstatic. I also think a lot of the rumors have talked about it tying into X-Men 97.
Because he does appear in that show.
Right. So it makes plenty of sense. Also, let's not forget that is a huge crossover show. And I know that's not to be like, oh my God, like whatever. But it truly, like, that show has everybody showing up and always did. So I think it would be pretty cool to kind of see that, especially now that we have such a huge Marvel cinematic universe out there, to go back to the basics of when it was just so easy to animate, you know, the Fantastic Four into the Spider-Man show for like a single episode. So I would love to see it happen. I'm excited if it does. Stop pulling my string. Just make it happen. I hate that the rumors come out every 6 months.
I know. And I forgot until I was reading articles about it that it ended on a cliffhanger. Like they never actually like finished the storyline. So I don't remember exactly what the cliffhanger was. It may or may not have had to do with a Mary Jane clone because I remember that being a very big storyline at the time.
Not
we love
the
a good clone
clones.
storyline. I know. So whatever that cliffhanger was, I'm sure when I do my rewatch, because I'm manifesting that this is happening, so when I do my rewatch in preparation for its reboot, I will definitely be excited that they're bringing it back. So yes, we are greenlighting this one from our perspective.
Let's hope. We'll manifest it. We'll keep manifesting it. But we'll move on to the next topic in the meantime, and that's Blade. What the heck?
It's on the move. No longer in the November 2025 slot, which I think really surprises no one. I mean, knowing that they're trying to pull back on content next year, you and I have said many times, wow, it's kind of surprising they're putting out 4 movies. You'll see in our next topic, they're not really listening to that whole, less content thing.
No,
I was reading an article that was like, Bob Iger said they were doing the exact opposite of this, and yet here we go. So glad that they pointed that out, because I too was going down the list and I was like, that's extensive. But hey, gives us a lot of content, makes me have to think less about extensive research that we have to do for different topics. So I'm all into that. But I will say, nobody's shocked about Blade moving. All of the things that have kind of happened behind the scenes with directors leaving, and I think they listed out 4 or 5 different writers, and it's just kind of been in development purgatory, and it is what it is. I still want to see the character. I'm super excited. Having watched the original trilogy, it's a very cool character. I think Mahershala Ali would absolutely own it, and I really do want to see it. But what I loved about one of the articles I was reading was talking about how Kevin has said, look, we're not going to rush this. We want to do it right. And so if that's why they're delaying things, I back that 100%. Am I sad? Yes. But at the same time, do the character well, and I will forget that this has sat for 5 years on a shelf, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm actually personally pretty shocked myself. only because there have also been rumors that they're trying to push forward a Midnight Suns. So I think I was kind of like, is the left hand doing one thing and the right doing the other? Because something doesn't seem right here.
Yeah.
You're pushing Blade back almost like, and I know they're not infinitely, but it feels infinite. We get a date and it's pushed back, and it's just been this horrible cycle. So I don't actually know when we'll see Blade. Dates don't mean crap to me when it coming to that movie.
Yeah.
And yet you're trying to tell me that they might be pushing a Midnight Suns movie up in the roster of movies. Not sure how you do that when you don't have Blade out yet, or even like somewhat getting there, because it's just been pushed back all the time. So I think that's why it shocked me that there was more news of this getting pushed back, because when I saw the Midnight Suns thing prior to Blade being pushed back, I had assumed, cool, so this means Blade's going, because clearly they're assembling their roster there. They're getting them ready. I don't know what this means anymore. I'm also still excited for it. Like, I'd like to
Yeah.
see it. I haven't watched the original movies, but obviously we saw Blade's, like the original actor playing Blade in Deadpool and Wolverine. He seems super cool. Obviously, I'll eventually look and watch the originals, but you know, everybody's still on board, right? Like, everybody's still like, let's do this movie. So I guess we're still somewhat in the green zone. I don't know.
Yeah, I just hope they kind of figure it out and get to move it forward, because I think he's a really cool character. And to your point, a very interesting member of the Midnight Suns, if that comes to fruition, which I hope it does, because I think that is one of the coolest rosters in like all of Marvel, to be honest. Like, just when you list them out together, you're like, they're gonna do some very good things in a very bad way. And I love that. I think it's
For
gonna be so
sure.
crazy. So I do hope that they do it right. I hope it doesn't become one of those things where they do a Midnight Suns and then they do a Blade, because I never like it when they do that. So
Yeah.
please just give everybody their moment for us to enjoy them as a character and get to know them before they team them up. Otherwise, it's not going to go well, in my personal opinion, because I think even though we all know a lot of, at least a decent amount about Blade from the previous trilogy, we don't know this version of Blade and we don't know the MCU's take on Blade. And that is probably going to be very different. So please keep it going, figure it out, and do that quickly. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well, and our last topic, we kind of already talked about a little bit, which is the huge slew of projects and dates that have dropped. And I'll let Taylor go through them in a second. But I want to kind of touch on the point she was making when they said, we're pulling back. And we already from like months ago, we're like, yeah, but you have 4 movies coming out, which is still more than, let's not forget, it was always roughly an April, July, November kind of timeline. We had 3 movies almost consistently during the Infinity Saga. And so now it's kind of like, okay, so you're still above average, but I won't bat an eye. It's not like crazy. We're not at like 5 or 6 yet. But then, and now I gotta be honest, guys, I wasn't online during the day. So I saw this entire drop happen before Agatha All Along's final episodes. And I was like, I'm so glad I didn't hit skip this, because I was going to. But holy crap, they just dropped them all and then dropped a crap ton of dates on us too, which is insanity.
Yeah. I mean, look, from my perspective as the person who does the calendar for the show, I'm thrilled, because y'all know how many times I've complained about being like, okay, spring. Well, when is spring? Because that's a 3-month window and I need to plan this show. Or
Yeah.
March. That's cool. Well, there's 4 weeks in March and there's also many days. So, like, what day of the week are you dropping this? TBD. Like, there's a lot of variables. So I, as a planner, am like, oh my gosh, they're giving me things almost a year ahead of time. This is so unlike them, but in the best kind of way. So
Yeah.
without further ado, I will list out all of the dates because there's a lot. So first, at the end of this year, which I'm actually really excited about, What If Season 3, final season, December 22nd.
Wait,
lot
I'm
of
so
people.
glad, because I didn't realize it was at the end of this year. I thought it was next year. I'm so happy.
I'm glad that one of us does our research. And
listen, I am the personality hire of this podcast.
Honestly, I'm not even going to argue that. A lot of people are saying that they're going to do the daily drops like they did last year. That's kind of the going theory. So
Cool.
hopefully that's true. I liked that. I think we both kind of did. Thought it was super fun. We actually tend to be around each other a lot more that time of year for obvious reasons. It's the holidays. Everybody's kind of gathering. So there's actually a high likelihood that we're going to get to do some of these together if that's the case, which I actually think is super fun. Then we don't get very much of a break because that'll probably end right around the new year. Right at the end of January, on January 29th, we get Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I haven't seen anything on exactly how many episodes this will be, so that's a little bit TBD. We will hopefully get more details as this year wraps up and we move into next year. Then we move into Daredevil Born Again, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. So that one we know March 4th. I believe that's 8 or 9 episodes as they have been reporting. Because it goes right in between the two films. Don't forget, we have a February, I believe, 14th release for Captain America Brave New World. Then we go to Daredevil. Then it's bookended by the Thunderbolts, which is the end of May, I believe. And after Thunderbolts, we go into Ironheart at the end of June, which will likely take us right into Fantastic Four First Steps. Crazy. Then we're done with movies. They front loaded all of their movies, and now we know Blade is no longer happening. So we have no time off because August 6th, not October 6th, August 6th is Eyes of Wakanda, which I believe is only 4 episodes. So that'll be the month of August for us. Then we do get off in the month of September. Great. We usually go on vacation then. We're very excited about that. October, Marvel Zombies. TBD on the number of episodes there, but that's going to be crazy fun.
I've been waiting for that one.
I know a lot of people are very excited. Not 100% sure exactly how many episodes that'll be, but in December, this might be the one that I think has shocked the most people. We're getting Wonder Man. So we don't have an exact date in December, but that is happening. So, wow, we basically are not going to have a week of not new content for Marvel until September, maybe a week or two. But other than that, it's going to be back to back to back to back to back, month off, back to back to back to back to back, end of year. So get ready. It's going to be crazy. We probably won't do that many deep dives. So we're going to probably move them all to 2026, but that's okay. And it's going to be fine. And we're going to have a calendar. And I'm saying all of this more to placate me because I'm a little stressed than for you all audience because you're just going to get to listen. But it's going to be great. It's a big year, lots of content. I'm super excited.
I am too, but I have to be honest, as our timekeeper, we are over. And so
Yes.
I have to cut us off. I know there were a lot of dates that had to come out of there. We can also add those in on our website or whatever. We'll do like an update so that if you missed it, we have them written out. But we are very excited for the new content. Very excited for the things coming down the pike. And as always, thank you for joining us for this week's Sister Scoop. Make sure you come back next week for the next round of Marvel news. Also, go ahead and listen to the podcast as we wrapped Agatha all along. And we're going to keep talking about Venom. So go ahead, listen to that as well. Thanks, guys. Bye.